Everybody, welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen. I make videos about the law, and this is our Fe1 August 2023 rundown, where I just give you a synopsis of the syllabus. We look through the last exam questions and I kind of give you some tips. So I've been doing this for many years and it never gets old. I'm only joking. EU law, fantastic subject, very sound, kind of, I would say, predictable subject. When it comes to the Fe1 exam questions, on our syllabus we are told to have prepared the following. Okay, so the first paragraph in the syllabus is just talking about legislation. We don't really care about that. We know at this stage the TU and the TFU are guys, as amended by Lisbon. I think we can go past that now. And we know that the numbering has been updated. Most people doing the exam now are millennials, so don't really care about the past. Okay, so sources of EU law. He goes down through all of that. It's done in my ebook. Way more succinct than that guy. But yeah, it's probably chapter 1. Chapter 2 then is the institutions. Yeah. We've done all that. So then he talks about the rule of law. And in this context, we're talking about judicial review, 263, infringement actions, which is all of our 258 to 60, and cooperation between national courts. That would probably fall into infringement actions. The nature of EU law, so yeah, that's like direct effect, in its relationship with national law. Direct effect, national procedural autonomy, state liability and its damages. That would be kind of like a run-on to 258 to 260. Status of EU law in the national legal system and national constitutional provisions. Yeah, I follow and do all of that in my Supremacy of EU Law chapter. Then substantive rules around FMOG, free movement of goods, 1110, 34 to 36. All done in my ebook. Freedom of persons, I do every year, which is Citizens Movement Directive, is Directive 2004-38, and it comes under Articles 18 and 20 to 25. I think 45, is services or establishment. I don't know, because I don't do either of those. I only do freedom of movement of persons, being workers and citizens. I don't do services. I don't do freedom of establishment anymore because they come up very rarely. But definitely I would have, the Citizens Directive comes up every year. And then the final area then, and like he usually is quite sound about this, he gives it like 8, 9, 10 and 11 here, but it's just one chapter in my book, which is competition law. So there'll be 101 and 102. He also expects you to know like the enforcement regulation 1/2003. Then the kind of separate area then is like state aid, so like 106. Once you've checked the syllabus, is go to the exam paper and see what actually comes up. So again, he gives that same long spiel at the start, like remember the difference between the TU and the TFU, and I'm like, okay. So the first question is around it's a problem question around Ireland not implementing a directive. And I suppose the question then is, what is this person's claim for compensation from the state for the financial loss? The second question then is a problem question, is an essay question asking about the status of human rights in the Charter, and how the Charter of Fundamental Rights, since became binding, now become the main base upon which the CJU ensures human rights are observed in the Union. Again, that will be in the first chapter on Principles of EU Law. The third question is an essay question around the Parliament, the Commission and the Council in establishing, amending legislative, delegate or implementing acts. So that's basically like the legislative procedure. The fourth question is freedom of movement of goods. It's actually quite an interesting question. It asks around Article 110 on its own, and it also asks about the steps you would need to take to sue the state through the EU Commission. Question 5 then is a 2004-38 directive. freedom of movement of citizens problem question. Question 6 then asks you about the extent to which Article 106 provides an exception on the application of EU competition law, particularly 101 and 102, to the scopes and limits of such exceptions regarding public undertakings, which member states have granted special exclusive rights. So basically a state aid question. Question 7 then was the case law question, which I always advise against. And question 8 then was talking about 2634 and the test for individual concern under UPA v Council, which is a question that has been rolled out many times before. So again, you couldn't really say there was any big surprises in the EU law exam. I think it was a really nice one. I will see you in the next one, which is property law.